Howdy, Grim here. Back, back again with Machine Shop Sessions, coffee break. So, new series that I'm doing. I'm gonna be just yapping about music and stuff and my relationship with music. The whole point of Machine Shop Sessions is just, between like doing DJ sets and the occasional recorded live set, um, is to just kind of log and like journal my journey and relationship with music. Um, yeah, and this is also another part of it is coffee session. Yeah, coffee break, coffee session, coffee break. Um, but yeah, no, and I just filmed one a little bit earlier. Um, talking about the DJ setup a little bit briefly. I don't know if that's gonna get released. Um, but yeah, no, welcome, welcome to the coffee break. Get a coffee, get a tea, whatever strikes your fancy. Mm, yeah, it's gonna be yapping, just yapping. Um, yeah, definitely one of the things that like I've been kind of slowly piecing my studio space together, which has been nice. It's been really nice. But yeah, in that sense, I'm getting a lot of closure in like not really like being like I need to get new like the whole gear acquisition thing. I've kind of made it a point to just kind of break things down into a few good tools and just leave it there. And I've got software as well, so that is what it is. Um, but yeah, no, it's been kind of content, you know, and as far as like my creative process, it's evolving a little bit, which is nice. I'm trying to use mood boards because I have a whole album idea, um, which I want to do. It's more of a long term project, so I've been just collecting a lot of stuff for that mood board, um, and just kind of putting that all together and taking my time with that. Um, I don't really want to like rush that kind of project. It's kind of a big thing. I never really used mood boards before, and like they've done like traditional uh, design thought processes in that sense. I've always come from like an engineering background where it's just what is the problem, how do you solve problem, kind of kind of thing. Then you just test, repeat, test, repeat, test, repeat until you get something that actually fucking works. Um, so yeah, it's a change. It's a change. Um, yeah, yeah, no, I definitely. I'm saying to the point where I'm a little bit kind of slowing down a little bit on making stuff. I don't have as much output. Um, I'm trying to basically just avoid burnout right now and just kind of like take a little bit of time, recharge, and then hopefully come back swinging with a lot more. Um, but yeah, no, it's as far as like status update of where I'm at with working on music. But yeah, no, aside from getting a bunch of new hardware and doing all that, I've kind of ended up in a weird spot where it's like there's so many things I want to make, and sometimes I don't always know necessarily how I want to make them, and or I try to make them, but then I don't have that feeling there, and that's kind of like why I've kind of decided to slow down. Is I can't really force myself to make music and in a way that I would want. So outside of that, I just spend my time doing weird sound design stuff, um, and just kind of playing around. Maybe something sparks and I start making something that, I put it out. But other times, it's just I just do that and stash it away and start working on another project. I'm like, oh, that could actually be really good, and I go and pull that out and cobble that in. I just realized it threw off the fucking autofocus. But yeah, no, so it's it's interesting. Um, like actually starting to get a little bit serious about music. I shouldn't say a little bit serious. Actually starting to get serious about music. Um, and like I really really enjoy like the cathartic output that it can be. Um, but yeah, I also find that like definitely like I have a lot of influences from a lot of different things, especially as a DJ, but also as an artist. As a DJ, I do so many different things. I'm not just purely industrial, techno, electro. You know, I also like doing juke and footwork. I like doing house music. I like doing like deep house, Chicago and Detroit house. I like doing a little bit of tech house. Tech house can be good. Tech house can be good. I really love jungle. Um, jungle and tech stuff. And actually, the funniest part is if it weren't for techno, I'd just be a jungle DJ. But yeah. Oh, so and it's definitely, and then like as an artist, that's starting to manifest a little where I want to like occasionally make like a house track or something or a house EP, um, and do something that's different than the usual like darker stuff, darker experimental stuff, or just like harsh like dance music. So and so yeah, that might do some non regular releases of that kind of stuff. And otherwise, I'm just kind of focused on putting out all sorts of like you know weird ambient, dark ambient, and like some kind of harsh industrial breaks is like breaks and electro is kind of where we're going. It's kind of the plan. I don't know. Whatever ends up getting made is whatever it is. Like these are the ideas that I have in mind. What the output might be. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? Like that's something where sometimes you work on a piece and it just kind of spins off into its own little creature. You just kind of let that be. But yeah, yeah. This is I'm gonna have to get used to this if I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm not used to this, as you can see. So apologize for being awkward as fuck. But yeah. Also, complete non sequitur because I'm being awkward as fuck. The Irish cream monster coffee is kind. I used to say Mean Bean was my favorite. This is now my favorite. It's got a little bit of that mint zip to it. It's nice. But yeah, I think when it comes to it's funny being very very multifaceted, as an artist, as an enjoyer of music. Um, I'm a fucking music nerd, so I'm not really beat in one genre. It's a little bit of everything for me. But because I kind of focused more around industrial music and um, like techno and electro, that's like kind of my thing, or at least people perceive that as that's kind of my thing. But then like I'll play house music, and I played trip hop and barber beats once because that's a genre that like trip hop is a very fundamental genre for me. That was a very big introduction for a lot, very big like doorway to a lot of stuff for me. A lot of big influences. Um, yeah, and sometimes I find it hard to make stuff. Like it's just like creating things, and I've finally gotten to a point where I'm making stuff, at least the stuff that I put out, or I try to put out. Because if you make a bootleg, it's not like sometimes that'll get content filtered because it's a bootleg. It's an unsanctioned remix. But you know, like that said, it's one of those things. I've finally gotten to a point where when I release stuff, it is stuff that I like. It is no longer stuff that I have doubt in. It is something that I actually kind of like, and it's awesome. I'm glad I'm at that point. Uh, and it's funny because I've been doing this for like early 2015. There's about 9 years. Um, so it's kind of crazy in that sense. That like even though I've been doing this for so long, like I've just finally gotten to a point that I'm like, I actually really like the stuff that I make. Whereas back then I kept hopping aliases and making, different kinds of things and never really like particularly liked stuff that I made except for maybe one or two tracks out of all of the music I made in that time span leading up until more recent. Which is kind of wild to think. And I know that there's plenty of other artists who they're fucking leaps and bounds ahead of me, and they've only been at this 1 or 2 years. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody kind of grows at their own rate, does things their own way. And that's another thing. Everybody kind of does their stuff their own way. I like doing a little bit of a mix of working with hardware and working with Ableton. Realistically, I could have just bought an Ableton Push and been happy. Like that probably could do all the things I need it to do, but also my brain is weird and fucked up, and I need clicky, Swedish box with clicky buttons, clicky button Swedish box to make my brain, work. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. It doesn't make my brain work, but I work a lot better that way. Um, but then again, like there's certain things where it's like if I do want to learn how to like chop breaks and work with breaks on the Octatrack. I gotta learn the slicer functions and do all that. Otherwise, like I mostly use this for house techno electro and that and like stuff that is more that isn't like breaks. And then usually I do breaks and jungle and stuff, but I do that all in Ableton. And especially since I got since Potenza DSP's Amigo, that kind of really makes it a lot a lot easier to do that kind of stuff on there as opposed to on here. Over here on the Octatrack. That's where I was trying to put my hand. I just realized it's not on camera. Oh my god, the camera doesn't have like a 5 million bajillion degree FOV. It's whatever. Uh, but yeah, it's one of those things that I'd like to definitely learn how to process breaks on there, and then kind of do a little bit of both between Ableton there, and maybe even process something on here, and then shoot it into Amiga and shuffle it up even more. Um, I just realized I'm fucking with the autofocus. Um, but yeah. I mean, yeah, this is just kind of where I'm at right now.